General Burnside sent out 120,000 men to Richmond. This surprised General Lee. The Confederate commander had split up his force of 78,000 men. Neither part of the Confederate army was in good position to protect Fredericksburg, although General Burnside's army experienced delays in crossing over the Rappahannock River, which allowed Lee's army to reunite themselves around Fredericksburg. These attacks had failed to break the Confederate line. After suffering 12,000 casualties, Burnside ordered a retreat. The Confederates had 5,000 casualties. Later, Burnside quit his position as commander. Lincoln made Joseph Hooker the commander of the Army of the Potomac. In the end of April 1863, Hooker and his army and about 140,000 men launched frontal attack on Fredericksburg. Lee used most of his army to attack Hooker's troop at Chancellorsville. Lee won the battle. June 1863, General Lee and his men gathered in Gettysburg. His cavalry chief, Jeb Stuart, was not fulfilling his required duties, therefore resulting in a lack of enemy information. Because of this, he had no knowledge that Union troops were camped out close to the town. When the two forces ran into each other on July 1st, the Battle of Gettysburg began. The battle turned the tide against Confederates. During the first day of the battle, General Ewell, a Confederate, waited too long to attack against Lee's orders, and gave the Federalists time to create an exceptional defensive position. General James Longstreet believed that the Union's position was too difficult to defeat, but Lee believed his Confederate forces were unbeatable. The Confederates then decided to camp at Seminary and prepare for another day of battle. The second day, Lee instructed an attack on the left side of the Union line. He figured that if he could capture Little Round Top, he would be able to easily fire down the Union soldiers. The fighting was a ferocious, bloody battle that ended in the Confederates retreating. The Confederates then launched an unsuccessful attack on Cemetery Hill. On the third day, Longstreet tried to again convince Lee to not attack. Lee thought that the Union forces were battered and ready to break, and because of this he planned an attack on Cemetery Ridge. For more than an hour, the Confederates attacked Cemetery Ridge with cannon fire. For a while the Union cannons fired back. The Confederates did little damage. George Pickett commanded the largest unit. In the afternoon, almost 15,000 men took part in Pickett's charge. The Confederates retreated, leaving behind 7,500 casualties. General Lee rode among the survivors and said, "It is all my fault." Nearly 75,000 Confederate and 90,000 Union soldiers had fought in the Battle of Gettysburg. However, General Meade decided not to follow Lee's army, and this angered Lincoln. Gettysburg was a huge turning point in the war. Lee's troop would never launch another attack against the North. The win took place the day before Grant's capture of Vicksburg. These victories made Northerners believe that the war could be won. In addition to the win, the South's search for foreign influence ended because Great Britain and France refused to provide to the Confederacy. On November 19, 1863, at the dedication ceremony of the Gettysburg Cemetery, President Lincoln gave a speech, famously known as the Gettysburg Address. He praised the bravery of the Union soldiers and renewed his commitment to winning the Civil War. Lincoln had transferred Grant to the East and gave him command of the Union Army because he